Welcome to the 700 Club. Now we face days of destiny. That's how Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu described the opportunities and challenges that lie ahead for Israel.
Netanyahu made those remarks alongside United States Secretary of State Marco Rubio. He's the latest in a long line of visiting U.S. officials working to preserve the president's peace deal. CBN's Julie Stahl reports.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with Secretary of State Marco Rubio shortly after his arrival. His visit comes on the heels of Vice President J.D. Vance and negotiators Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. President Trump visited last week.
This is a circle of trust and partnership. You've been an extraordinary friend of Israel, and now we face days of destiny. We want to advance peace. We still have security challenges. But I think that we can work together, and by working together, both address the challenges and seize the opportunities.
Rubio noted that it's just over a week since President Trump's work led to the release of 20 living hostages and a ceasefire. Hamas also agreed to the return of 28 dead hostages, but 13 are still unaccounted for, leading to charges they violated the deal.
No one's under any illusions. We've already done the impossible once, and we intend to keep doing that. If we can, we have good partners that we're working on. But we feel confident and positive about the progress that's being made. We're clear-eyed about the challenges, too.
A small number of Knesset members put a strain on the U.S.-Israel relationship when they passed the first reading of a bill to extend Israeli sovereignty over biblical Judea and Samaria, also known as the West Bank. When asked if he thought the sovereignty vote would affect the peace plan, Trump said,
"They're not going to do anything with the West Bank. Don't worry about it. Israel's doing very well. They're not going to do anything with it."
He also told Time magazine that Israel would lose U.S. support if that happened. The Prime Minister's office said the vote was a deliberate political provocation by the opposition to sow discord during Vice President J.D. Vance's visit to Israel. Tech columnist and Israel advocate Hillel Fold tells CBN News he sees the vote as part of a global political trend to tear down political leaders.
And so the opposition said, "Oh, here's a good way to give it to Bibi. We're going to vote for, sovereignty in Judea and Samaria and just annoy the vice president," which they did.
Regarding Trump's statements, Fold says he believes Trump is a real friend to Israel, but that could change.
I think it's a little bit absurd, for lack of a better term, that the United States of America thinks it has the right to dictate to Israel a decision that's internal to Israel, let alone a security issue.
Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
Well, obviously, we're walking down a tightrope. On one side is Hamas continuing to fire its weapons. They're using snipers to kill IDF soldiers. They're killing their own people. They're murdering people in Gaza. And it's just outrageous what they're doing. But if the IDF goes back in, well, then from a peace standpoint, you're back to square one. Can Turkey and Qatar come along, and are they going to adhere to the Muslim Brotherhood doctrine that Israel has to be wiped off the map? Is it part of a long-term strategy on their part to have a pause in the fighting so that they can rebuild and rearm, whether that's in southern Lebanon or in Gaza? Will Saudi Arabia and UAE step up to the plate and become the peacekeepers in Gaza? And where is Egypt in all of this? Egypt is the home of the Muslim Brotherhood. At various points in time in their history, they have jailed the leaders. They've declared them illegal. They've declared them as a terror group. But at the same time, they seized power after the Arab Spring. A lot of different things are in play, and I think right now the American foreign policy is a policy of I guess it's a joke, but it's not really a joke. It's a policy of babysitting. That how many real high-level American officials can come and be in Israel and convince Israel not to go back into Gaza, to let the peace process have a chance of success. Because if they do invade, again, we're back to square one. So these are days of destiny, and not just for Israel, but for the entire Middle East. Will they throw off the ideology of hate, the ideology of anti-Semitism? Can they possibly break through? If they can, then there is a tremendous possibility for a new era of peace. And that's something I would absolutely applaud. In other news, despite the ongoing government shutdown, members of the military receive pay, thanks to unusual funding workaround. The effects of the shutdown go far beyond paychecks. National security correspondent Caitlin Burke explains.
As the government shutdown entered its second week, President Trump ordered the Pentagon to ensure America's troops received paychecks. They accomplished that by using unused funds originally allocated for research and development.
President Trump cares about our service members and he wants to put them first. So does Secretary Hegseth.
Pentagon Press Secretary Kingsley Wilson tells CBN News that while the War Department is committed to keeping the American people safe, the lack of funding is taking a toll.
We've got a lot of civilians across the War Department who are furloughed and who aren't able to come into work every day. And we've got people who are here working like myself who aren't getting paid.
The Heritage Foundation's Richard Stern, an economic policy expert, points to the impact on day-to-day operations of the military.
Things that are important for positioning forces, they're important for training, important for maintaining readiness, that again, when there's a lapse in funding, there just isn't the money available to procure the equipment for, or the fuel, or the other supplies that you need. And so while the military has some flexibility, and of course there's federal laws that allow for certain essential functions, of course, to continue even without government funding, it still starts putting a wrench in the works. It still starts grinding to halt, as you put it.
VA Secretary Doug Collins says although its hospitals remain operational for America's veterans, important services for those members leaving active duty are not. That leaves them in limbo as they seek a life after the military.
And I just call on right now Congress to get this done. Quit holding my veterans hostage right now in the way we're doing it.
Military families in the middle of relocating also now left hanging, with permanent change of station moves on hold.
Imagine a young family preparing to move. Maybe they've sold their house. Maybe they've packed up a lot of stuff. Maybe the kids are ready for a new school. Now they're just in a stage of limbo where they don't know what's going to happen until this shutdown is over.
Whether or not paychecks will continue coming for service members is unknown. The Shutdown Fairness Act of 2025 would have provided funding for active duty members of the military, but so far it has not received enough votes to pass. Caitlin Burke, CBN News, Washington.
Well, the reality for the average military family is there's a whole lot more month and money. So it's not just paycheck to paycheck. It is a real hardship if they don't get that pay. Let's end the shutdown. Let's end it quickly, not just for those who are being transferred, not just for the veterans, not just for our active duty. I'm glad there's a workaround right now, but how long will that workaround work? And it would be wonderful if we could actually come together and say, let's fund our government, and let's do it today.